Okay, we're live. Yay.
Yay.
Now I put the glasses on so I could see. Hair and the only bad part is I have to have hair and makeup and colors. Okay, so welcome to MJ Network. MJ is a memory of my sister Marcia Joyce, who started me on this road. And welcome to Rescue. I'm getting used to it. I
Thank you for
think
having me.
it's more fun when you see the person you're talking to than on
Yeah.
Blog Talk when the phone used to go dead in the middle of the stream.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this
Yeah.
is interesting because I know a lot about bands and stuff from my nephews who plays in a band and a whole bunch of other things, and my niece who is trying to be a rock star.
Oh,
She
cool.
has a lot of records out on Spotify. Then I told her I'm glad you're working for a law firm. Much better idea. So the Hound Dogs search for a drummer, and they need help too with a lineup because Daniel's leaving. So Dice hires Patrick. Little does he know what his agenda might be. So, what kind of research did you do in order to learn about this type of? I never, I mean, I know about it, but what kind of research did you learn about the book? And what would you say a short summary of the book is?
Well, this is the second book in the series, actually.
Yeah.
Hound Dogged is the first book. And it's basically the same. It's a found family story, coming of age. It's about a group of young men in 1958 who form a band at the birth time of rock and roll.
Rock and roll is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
You know something? I listen to music today because I do know because my nieces test me to see if I know what they listen to. Doesn't compare. It doesn't. And I watch Voice. I delete
Hmm.
American Idol because I think it's not worth watching.
Yeah,
And Voice, every song is the same. All the words are the same, and it just gets like, so what?
yeah,
I
yeah,
know back then it was so much better.
yeah, yeah.
So
I have to agree with you there.
yeah. So who are the major characters? And tell us about Dice and Patrick. I like Dice.
The main characters are John
Yeah.
and Danny, um, Jerry, James. They're all members of the Hound Dogs. And Patrick was John's partner, and they're the ones who
Uh-huh.
originally formed the band. And then they had a falling out and split up. And so Patrick joins the Dice.
Well, he has to watch out. So, what is the reason Patrick has against the band? What's his problem? And he's
Well,
he's a pretty smart guy.
yeah,
He's smart,
yeah.
yeah.
He was, like I said, he was originally formed the band with John, and he they just had a falling out because they were both on separate, different paths.
Yeah.
Uh, Patrick wanted to get serious, and John didn't at that time.
Now,
So,
I've heard about this before. There's a song that's in question, and I know if you listen to the whatever, people do exactly that at times too. They even take ideas that don't belong. I know that.
yeah.
So there's a song in question, and who is Danny? I like Danny. What's his role in the? Oh, I felt bad. What's his role in the band, and why do they want to replace him?
Oh, Danny, he joins the Dice, but uh, he's just as the Dice is a group of narcissists, and they're kind of intense and on a different path. And Danny's more expressive and into his music more, and so he leaves the Dice. He quits the Dice to join the Hound Dogs. Well, he ends up joining the Hound Dogs. Yeah.
Another John. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So what does Patrick want Stu to do? And why does he agree?
Um,
Dangerous guys, yeah. And forced to, I felt like he was being, roped into something they didn't really want to do. Yeah,
mm,
poor thing.
Patrick is basically using him to spy on the hound
Yeah,
dogs. Yeah, yeah,
that's not fair.
yeah. Stu is kind of a mess.
Now, this is hard because, I mean, I've seen it on, television, whatever, when they have a band, whatever, when you listen to the old bands, the new ones, and all of a sudden they have the old bands on television or the new one, and there's somebody new there. Or a new lead singer, and I go like, you can't replace Mitch on the Tokens ever. You can't replace Johnny Maestro ever.
Yeah.
No, I mean I was lucky in the country. I actually met the Tokens.
Oh, really?
One,
Cool.
it was really weird. The girl that was staying there introduced. She brought him to the bungalow colony, and at that time I had my father. I was friends with somebody in Sam Goody's, and he got me all the top 100. So I had all their records,
Oh,
and
cool.
Mitch had a sore throat, so I gave them all my records to borrow to for their show at the Concord. And we got to
Cool.
show, but he never. But when they gave it back, all they gave me was a little piece of paper that said "Thank you." I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that
this
ain't
must have been
right.
20. I had albums and stuff, and he couldn't sing. He was actually, but it was nice to meet them.
Yeah, that's really
so,
cool.
so what happens when both bands is? Why do bands compete? What was the purpose of them competing?
Well, in book one, John has a song that he's
Yeah,
written, and Joe wants to basically steal it and use it for his own. And so they get into this argument about who the best band is.
yeah.
And so they agree to have kind of like a showdown show uh, to see who the better band is.
Well, I don't know why people have to be number one or the best. But I guess it's an ego thing.
Yeah, it's just competition.
I know sometimes it's fun to watch
Yeah,
these competitions. I know. But if you watch the competitions on television now, they're not the same.
no,
I
no,
often wonder sometimes if they decide before the show even begins who they want to win and who's not going to win. I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah,
seriously. So they
I
compete.
agree.
What questions? Tell us about the Madison community. Why did they have it there?
Well, because they wanted to do it because the dice are so popular and known that they wanted to do it at a venue that wasn't was low key, was small because the dice didn't go into the show as the dice. They used a different name so that people
Mm,
wouldn't know it was the dice. And then so they could keep it low key and kind of honest because like you said, if they had done it at a more
yeah,
popular venue, the deck would have been stacked.
I know. I've read few books like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The last diva that was amazing, and she was a black singer, and she had to sing in a white audience, and it was stacked. But she turned out to be amazing. So it doesn't matter. So now this is cool, because I know young girls like to follow bands, and like they follow guys too. Everybody does it. You have to be crazy not to try it once, because it's not going to work all the time. So who is Anne, and why does she? Which band member does she follow, and why? And she really is pretty smart, and how clever she gets away with it. Sort
Yeah,
of.
she meets John in the first book. They
Yeah,
go
she
to
likes
school
them.
together. They go to school. They go to college together. That's how she meets him, and she ends up falling in love with him, and that's why.
Yeah, but sometimes falling for somebody and following them is not exactly the greatest thing that you could do either. You put
No,
yourself into a vulnerable, but who could blame her? You gotta try.
yeah,
So this creates a problem for her family because they don't really want her to go. Do they have somebody that they had picked out for her?
yes,
I
Yeah,
know how
they
that feels.
she has a boyfriend who's
Yes,
is on his way to be a successful architect.
and she didn't. He wasn't. Didn't do anything for her.
Maybe at first, but he's kind of well, you know, they're wanting her to fit into
Yeah,
the mold. They're wanting her to fit into a mold. They're
yeah.
wanting her to be, you know, the stay-at-home mother and raise
How
children,
boring.
which is what was expected of women in that time.
It was expected of a lot of people at the time. I know that. And even when my mom wanted to go to, she went to high school, but when she went to go to college, she was told she had to get a job.
Yep. Oh, I was
I
told that too,
Yeah,
actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went to college. I have 4 masters. They didn't stop me.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah,
really
my
awesome.
mother looked at me like, poor thing. And not only that, I had to get straight A's. If I didn't get straight A's, I got grounded. If I got 99, it was not good. It wasn't 100. So I know how it feels, but it was worth every
Wow.
bit of it to go to school and become what I wanted to become. Well, in most families back then, you had to work and earn your pay. So at 10 years old, I worked at my dad's cleaning store, cleaning and
Yeah.
pressing. You know what? Kids today have to know that sometimes you have to chip in,
Yeah.
and working is fun. So it was John and Steve. So she wants John for her own reasons. I know. So she did something carefully. She decides to become a caregiver. What's her role as a
Well,
caregiver?
well, her mother's the one that
Yeah, she
sets
made
her
her
up.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, she goes and stays with there's a lady that's high up in a group that her mother's a part of, and it's her mother that she goes and stays with.
So
And she
how did they go about creating this showdown? Because that's in the book. It's one of the questions I have to add. How do you go about doing that? I mean, you have to be really smart to get it done, and then people can watch you compete, and you have to pray that somebody wins. How did they create that? And then we're going to get to poor Carrie. Oh, poor Carrie.
yeah, yeah, so you know, they created a venue that was going to be small. The Dice changed their name to a different name, and everything was going smoothly. And
Yeah.
then this little gal who wants to be a reporter gets involved, and she starts snooping around.
It's hard, yeah. So who is Carrie, and what happened to poor Carrie?
Now, Carrie, she's a one of the staff at the local animal
Yeah,
shelter, and she is there the day that Buddy disappears, which is a dog. That long story, but anyway,
yeah.
she's there when he disappears.
So let's talk a little bit more about Danny, because when the time comes, why do they need him to play? Does he ever
Um,
get to play in front of an audience?
yeah, I mean, he did. He plays in front of an audience a lot in book one,
Yeah.
um, and unfortunately, this performance is basically a setup, and is it's rigged. I mean, his guitar falls apart.
He is good. He is really good. He can play anything, but he didn't play what they wanted him to play. And for some reason, that song didn't seem to resonate in him. But you know what? The only thing I miss is that I cooked. Too bad I couldn't hear the music while I was reading the book.
Yeah,
It's too bad there wasn't like a little tape at the end of the
yeah,
book.
yeah, right.
Yeah, that would have been really cool because I was trying to figure out how it sounded. But whenever it becomes a movie, we'll get to Darren. So the bands compete. What about Anne? What caused her to be confused between John and the other guy? And her parents were down her throat. Mother was down her throat.
I don't think was confused at all. I think she pretty
Well,
much is in love with John, but she couldn't afford, or she didn't want to disappoint her parents, and
yeah,
she's like up against it to marry Steve.
But the band is special. What is the song about that they're competing about?
Oh, it's called Crawlin' Dog.
Yeah,
It's a song that John wrote, and Patrick actually helped write it, but he wasn't like the main writer on it. It's John and Joe. When they went to go sign the record contract, was
that was
told
the
that
hard part. Yeah,
they had to come up with an original song, and that was the one he decided to take. to take.
that's the hardest thing that people don't realize. You have to really read the fine print, and you have to really know what you're signing. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble. I know.
Yeah, that happens a lot in this book.
No, it happens a lot in real life too. When you sign a contract, I know from my last book, and
Yeah,
it doesn't exactly go the way the contract says, and you have to really know the fine print and realize and call the person on and make them do it over.
yeah, I've been there and done that too.
Yeah,
So it's no fun.
I know. I know. I have two. I'm taking two books and combining them into one. And I said to the person, "This is what I want." I wound up getting up at 5 o'clock this morning to take the PDF, get rid of the PDF, turn it into Microsoft Word, cross out the last section that I don't want, and do these mistakes, but the editing by myself. I said, "So why do I need you?"
Right. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to take the books because I read horror. It's fun. I kill people. It's you. If you do something wrong, you wind up. Yeah, if you don't repent, you wind up as a face in the mirror, forever, reliving it. But I wanted to change the title from Mirror Image to something else, so I don't want anybody to know that I was doing it. So I changed it to something really crazy. And nobody's ever gonna figure it out. I hope. So what the band winds up? Whatever. Who is Ronnie, and why does he join the band?
Ronnie is a a guy that they meet, and he ends up becoming their drummer.
Wasn't he any good?
Yes, he's very good.
He is good. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Yeah, he is good. But then it's kind of like he felt a little insecure though. I guess
Yes.
when he
Yeah,
took
because
over
he's
for yeah, it's hard.
yes, because he's handicapped,
I
and
know that
he felt like that defined him, and it doesn't
he
define him.
seems compassionate though. He really wanted to, but he wanted to make sure that he played the right way. And coming in brand new to a concert is hard when you're the new guy and you want to make sure that the band does okay.
Yeah.
That's sad. He has to live up to his own reputation.
Yeah.
So how does Dice feel about him?
They
Tell
don't.
us a little bit more about that. I like Dice. There's something about him. He's not
Yeah.
stupid, but I did. But the ending tells you there's going to be another sequel, isn't
Yeah.
there? I
Yeah.
figured as much. Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a series. Uh yeah, the dice I don't think really have much feeling about him at all, at least not in this book.
So does he have a family life, Dice, or just a girlfriend or anything, or just him?
Ronnie?
Dice,
Oh, which one?
Dice.
Um there's four of them. Joe has is married.
Yeah.
Uh Boyd has a girlfriend, he's their drummer, and Will have one, and Patrick doesn't have one at this point.
Well, Patrick, you got to watch out for. You don't know what he's going to do, Patrick. You have no idea what he's going to do. And oh, I'm looking at the book. I love this book because the font was large enough for me not to need a magnifying glass.
Well,
Oh,
good.
but
I
oh,
like that about it too, actually. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Oh, this is so cool. The last chapter. I love Little Richard and some of the old singers. And I got because of my dad and who he knew. I got to see some of them at the Apollo Theater.
Wow,
before
that's awesome.
my dad died in 1990 something, and I got to see him before I got to go to the Apollo Theater. I got to see
Wow,
the Temptations
that's so
and
cool.
Smokey Robinson. Yeah, I was like, you sit there like,
Yeah, that is so cool.
yeah, it was really cool. It was useful. So, who is Molly and what's her role?
Molly is a friend of Marcy's, uh,
Uh,
and she is her friend, and she works for Carter's department store, and she has a crush on Danny.
or does he know that? Does he care? I like
He
her.
he
It's
he
so
li-
bad when you have a crush on somebody and it's like one sided.
yeah,
Oh my,
he definitely likes her as a friend.
yeah.
That's about as far as it goes for him, you know.
Well, you never know. The next book could change the whole thing.
Oh yeah, it changes.
I know. So, what happens when I didn't add this? I want to add a few more questions.
Okay.
What happens when the band finally competes? How does that work? How did they feel about it? They must have been nervous. Dice versus the other band too.
Yeah, because word gets out, and so then it just explodes, and there's like a ton of people there, a ton of people there, and yeah, they're nervous, of course, but the audience is rigged, and well, these guys come in and kind of make trouble for the hound dogs.
Now, how did you come up with this name? I love it. I mean, I know Hound Dog, I know Elvis, I know whatever. So, how did you come up with Hard Dogs Night on Hound Dogs? That was so cool.
Well, actually, Eddie is the one that names the group, and Eddie's kind of goofy, and I just wanted to like, at the time, I was like trying to come up with the goofiest thing I could think of, and so I just pulled it out of the air, thinking I was going to change it later on. He named them Johnny and the Hound Dogs, and I was like, I just wanted to pull that out of the air, but then it ended up sticking. And I was like, you know what, actually, I kind of like this.
That is so amazing. So we have Danny and Carrie and all of them, and I like Carrie. And I was hoping that, she would wind up with somebody. But what about Patrick? What about Patrick? He's a loner, but you can't trust him.
Right. But
And
like you said, he's very smart and he's ambitious.
now we have the guy. There's always somebody that owns something. So what about Eddie, who owns the record shop? How does this implicate him?
His father owns the record store, actually, and he just works there. And he's Danny's cousin.
It's hard to own stuff like that. And the record shop is, there's competition everywhere. I know that.
Well, it's a small town, and they're the
Yeah.
only record store around for like 30 miles or something. So,
Well, well, I grew up in the South Bronx. I didn't get this way for nothing. You know me. And I grew up in a horrible apartment. It was as big as my elbow. Yeah, we had it with my grandparents, all six of us. And
wow.
around the corner, down on the side, and it was not that long ago, whatever. There was a record store, and it was called Ritz Records. And if I got all A's, I'm serious, all hundreds, my dad would give me money, would tell me, just go in and tell them what you want. They didn't believe in girls carrying money, which is really
Wow.
weird. And it was even when I was a teenager or older, whatever, my father would say, I'll just go in and pay for it. Be my guest. So they would actually have the records of the top 100. They knew what I had, list of what I had, and they would just give me what the fill-ins were. So if I got all A's that week, I was able to get 10 records for 10
Wow,
A's.
that's cool.
It was
That's
hard
very,
though.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, my mother was one of these perfectionists, whatever. But yeah, so there was there. And then there was a 10 blocks down. There was a bookstore that carried books because there was no bookstores in the South Bronx. It was nothing. It was like a toy store, and if you were lucky, you got the books to read. So I spent a lot of time in the library, as you could tell, reading books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think after I retired from teaching, becoming a reviewer was my sister's idea. And then she made me, it was the best thing she ever did to me. This is so much fun. I get to read everything from well known authors like yourself to New York Times authors that are
That's
interesting
cool.
to famous authors. I interviewed Tess last month, Des Gerritsen. I interviewed D.P. Lyle, and I was supposed to interview Joseph Finder when Blog Talk went down, but I read The Oligarch's Daughter. So
Uh-huh.
I read like, I would say in the last 10 years, maybe a couple of thousand books.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's because I read like 5 or 6 a week when I can.
Wow.
It's bad. So
That
before,
no, I think that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I did because my mother required 5 books a week and I had to take notes. So, which really matters a lot because you see, I write in the books. I don't even want to show you. It's all marked up, and I circle, underline, and question so I know what to ask you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it helps. And your review is on LinkedIn and on my site. And I can tell you now, when I post something on LinkedIn, this stream is going to get a couple of hundred views in about 10 minutes.
that's awesome.
It's,
Thank
I couldn't believe it. Last week I did one and she got 500 views in an hour. And
Wow.
one idea, I was like, the Ivory Bones, the Lewis Chessman series, the one from last week. He got a whole bunch also of a karma factor. I was like, he got over 300. So Lincoln is the best place to place a review and everything. And then after this is done, I will pray hard that I download the video and send it to Shirley. But on the 14th, somebody we all know, K. George, someone's out there. On the 21st, the author of After Pearl. And on the 24th, this is going to be tough. Dr. Gloria Mitchell and I are going to attack some very prominent issues, the Jim Crow laws and Black Code. And we're going to talk about why they're unfair to African Americans and other people. And I can do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
do it for anybody else, but I know her, and it'll be fine. And on the 20 on the first, I have Love Before COVID, and I'm booked until the end of June. So if anybody
Uh,
has a book coming out, now is the time to speak up because I just booked one for June 23rd. In
you're a
between
busy
the,
lady.
yeah, my husband says it keeps me out of the stores to go shopping. So what changes in the end, and what's next for them? And when are you gonna have the next one out so I can read it?
Actually, it's at the editors right now.
Oh, good.
And so, of course, you have to go through all the prep and everything. So it'll probably be early next year. Uh, as you know, publication is a slow game.
Yeah, I know. I have a new editor for my 2 books. And like I said, I got up this morning to correct the titles, correct the grammar, change the title to something really crazy, and to get rid of the words mirror image. But I find that even though you have an editor or something, you have to read it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want, I can tell you the title of the new book.
What's the title? I'll take the
It's
title. And
uh,
then
it
Dice and Patrick are going to go at it in the next one, aren't they?
yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
uh, it's called Doggy Be Good.
Oh, good. That's going to be interesting. And who's going to be in it? Which characters are coming
All of them.
back?
All of them. And there will be some characters coming back from the first book as well that were
Oh,
in
I
the
didn't
first
read the
book.
first one. That's why I didn't
You
know.
better get busy now.
That's all right. I know because she has an author that she just gave me that's writing about tarot and
Oh,
past life and stuff. I go, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And she wanted to talk about two books on the same show. I go, oh, well, I've done that, but I don't like doing that, but I've done it before.
Yeah, I think you would benefit a lot from reading the first book.
Oh, you can send it. I'll read it. I read
Okay.
everything. I just got T.J. O'Connor's Whisper Legacy to review, and I've got one that I have no idea what it's about yet. We'll have to figure that one out. And I know Brian Silverman's going to do two books at once also. And I actually read one of them already, so it's I don't I can handle it, no problem.
Well, you
So
can send me your information and I'll send you a copy.
okay, I will. I'll have to tell her to send it to you because
Okay.
they don't give me the author's
Yeah.
emails. Yeah, and I just emailed an author and I said, "Are you going to be on May 1st for Love Before COVID?" And he didn't answer. So if he doesn't answer me next week, I'm deleting it
Yeah.
because I don't want to sit there and find out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you find out the hard way.
Yeah.
So if Danny could speak to us, or Dice or Patrick, what would they say? Are they happy with what they decided?
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
And does Molly have a shot? I like Molly.
uh you have to read the next book.
Well, I can't wait to read the first book because this way I'm just going to read it. I never read anything for fun. So that's going
Yeah.
to be fun. So where does the next book take place? In the same community
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
someplace?
Yeah. Because it picks up with
Yeah.
because now they're facing the ban on rock and roll. That storm has all been stirred up.
You got to create a tape so I could hear the music.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, but they're facing the ban on rock and roll now. And there's that big uproar going on in the town now about banning rock and roll.
Well, Elvis Presley was the king.
Yes.
He was amazing. Bobby, all the older ones that my father told me about were better ones. So then they used to create albums. Oh, what the heck is that? Records that had every single top band on it. The problem was that I said to my father, these are not the original singers. They had the songs of all the top, like Bobby Darin, Bobby Ray, whoever, Fate, whatever, but it wasn't the singer. They just had the songs on this. It wasn't the same.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could kick myself because when I moved, I had all the 45s and the 78s that my dad bought me, and I gave them to somebody because I didn't think I'd be able to bring them up here. I should have kept them. Yeah, I know.
Uh, but hey, you make,
Yeah, I know. I think it's a gee. I can't believe I did that because I had all. I love listening. So there's another character I'm looking at. Who is Carly and who is Helen?
Helen is Stu's mother, and Carly is his little sister.
Uh huh.
There's actually some really cool parts with Carly in the first book.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. So where can everybody find out about you and your work? And you've got
Um,
the best publicist in the whole world.
yeah, I do. Uh, so I have my own website. It's RebeccaHendricksAuthor.com. You can go there and you can sign up for my newsletter and get a free download of the kind of like a prequel story. It's short. It's a short story, and the books are available on Amazon, both ebook and paperback.
You'd be surprised where your books really are. I found out that my books are on Kobo, Scribner, and you have to be careful because sometimes they steal the books and put them on sites so that they could use it to sell to other people. I haven't had that problem on Facebook yet, thank God. But I know that somebody's selling the books in order to use them as workshops for something or other. Yeah, and that's horrible. But
Yeah, I am on Ingram Sparks too, but um, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just so terrible. All the scams and everything that go on anymore is just crazy.
I know, and you get a whole bunch of, I get a whole bunch of emails that said, we looked at your website. This is the big one. And we think we have mistakes. I don't have a website. And we have
Yeah,
a picture of it, and we would like to quote you. I don't answer that. My review site is just reviews. That's just
yeah,
me on WordPress. And you know what gets me? That every month they rate it to see how many views I have, how many comments, how many people visit. Yeah, it's kind of like scary.
yeah,
But
yeah. It
they
is.
do. And I write an elite reviewer for Yelp for 5 years, and then at the end of the month they tell me how many visit people read my reviews. People have been reading the reviews I wrote from years ago, and they comment.
So, what do you think about AI?
I don't want AI. I don't even want it. They offered me something with WordPress for AI, and I don't want to deal with that. I rather deal with real people.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy too. That what that's
Yeah,
able and capable to do.
and
It
I don't
is.
believe in that either. And then, as an educator, they're trying to get kids to work on AI in school, and I think that's terrible because the teacher sits back. I said, so who answers the question? And they're all the kids are sitting with their headphones. I taught for a lot of years in the South Bronx, in a tough school in the Bronx, and all I know is that I never had a student that said, "Oh, crap, she's here." I was absent. This is true. A 5, 6 class from you know where, and nobody could handle them. And I loved every minute. They were horrible, and they were dangerous. And there was a stacked deck, and I always taught double grades. I walked in, and my principal called me at home. I had 104 temperature. You're coming to school. I said, no, I'm not. I was sick. I hung up. I have an appointment to go to the doctor. I was really sick.
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
sent somebody to get me to bring me to school. They called my mother.
Oh my
I
gosh.
could not believe it. I walked in. The girls were in the hall hiding. No one would take my class. No one. They wouldn't even split them up. And the boys, I couldn't. You can't imagine what they were doing. Of course, being who I am, I use whatever language bothered me. I said, "Get the blank in your seats before you're sitting in the wrong direction." And the
That's
parents
awesome.
gave me the carte blanche. I said to my boss, "Why didn't you just call the parents and tell them to take them home?" The 4 boys,
Yeah.
they were dangerous. You have no idea. They were not. I didn't have a problem with them in school, but after school, two of them got arrested
Oh my.
for hurting somebody, and that was their yeah. So the kid comes back to school. I said, "You had time on your hands in jail, genius. Get your homework done." They never answered me back ever, and they were 6 feet tall, and they were really bad. And this one kid looked at
Wow.
me. I said, "Why am I here with fever?" He looked at a straight face. He looked at me because we can't handle it without you.
Wow.
I said, "I hate all of you." The girls were good. The girls looked like rock. The girls were gorgeous, and the guys used to look like this. I go, knock it off. But at the end of the year, they were the best class on the fifth and sixth grade. They were all discipline problems, every one of them. And I got even with my boss that day. I had to take them to Great Adventure on a senior trip. So I told the girls, "We got this." The girls and I went off the bus, and I left the boys with my principal and my assistant principal for the day. At the end of the day, he looks at me, so "I'm going to kill you." I said, "You had it coming." And the boys looked at me. I said, "I hope you weren't that good." They said, "We were really not great at all." I said, "Good for you. You get double stars and no extra homework. Because if you were too good, I would have had a fit." I cracked
That's
up laughing.
that's too funny.
Oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
well, I taught double grades for years because they said somebody had to do. Well, all discipline
Yeah,
problems and kids that were reading, they didn't. They were on grade level at the end of the year. Don't ask me how. And I
that's
didn't even
awesome.
want my mother didn't have Alzheimer's. I might have stayed. But this is fun. Thank you so much. And I
Yes,
said,
it's awesome.
please send me the first one because this way I'll understand what was happening.
Yeah,
But
give me
let
the
me end this
information.
let me end the stream.